All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cover Sinite real quick. This will be part 2. Sinite part 2. Got the t-shirt here. And remember, nobody knows the Ten Commandments has been found on what we call North American soil. Okay, so get the t-shirt, become the walking billboard. Let people know what you know. All right, when we type in Sinite, as you can see, nothing's found. Here, I'm going to go all the way to the end. What we need is Sino. Not sure what this is. This is China. Okay, so we'll look at Sino real quick. Sino, before the files, sin, right? Like you committed a sin. Word forming meaning Chinese, period. There's no way around this. The Sin people, or the people of Sin, are the Chinese. The Shin people, or the people of Shin, are the Chinese. The Shino people are the Chinese. So you can see there's a series of names that still depict Chinese, no matter how you cut it. And it deals with the S, the I, and the N. Whether they change the S to a CH, it don't matter. All right, so it still comes from Sinai or Sinai. All right, so they talk about the Sinai Desert. Again, I told you this has to do with the Chinese. When I showed you the Gobi Desert, it's the go-between desert. You go between these two places. It says it's from Arabic Sin, China, probably from Chinese, the ch, and then the space with the N, in. Name of the 4th dynasty, China. Okay, so no way to get around this, okay? All has to do with Chinese. China, Asian country, 1550s, of uncertain origin. So they are not the original people of that land, like I told you. Like I've always told you. Earliest usage is Marco Polo calling the Chinese. In 3 BC, perhaps from Qin dynasty, which ruled 3 BC, Latinized Sina, hence sinologist, Chinese word for the country. So let's just see real quick, what is a sinologist? See if we can understand what that is. If it's going to allow me to highlight that. Allow me. Copy paste. Do a copy paste job. Sinologist. A study of Sino. Study of Chinese people. Plain and simple.
However, there is something that can settle this debate of where the Chinese come from once and for all. I'm meeting Professor Jin Li, one of China's leading geneticists. Recently, he led a project that set out to prove that the Chinese evolved independently from everyone else, from Homo erectus here in China.
Before the project started, I was hoping that I could identify or could be able to find evidence that support independent origin of Chinese in China, because I'm a Chinese and came from China, and through the education process, I always believed that there's something special about Chinese.
He singled out a male genetic marker, which only appeared about 80,000 years ago in Africa. So any man who carries that marker must have recent African ancestors and can't be descended from the more ancient Asian Homo erectus. Jin took DNA from over 160 ethnic groups around East Asia. Over 12,000 samples. And so, what did you find?
We did not see even one single individual that could be considered as the descendant of the Homo erectus in China. Rather, everybody was a descendant of our ancestors from Africa.
Okay, so you can clearly see that this man is saying that his descendants come from Africa. That's what he said. They found bones in Africa. Their bones match the bones in Africa. Nothing more, nothing less. He said, I wanted to do this to prove that we are the Chinese and that we were first. He actually proved that they came from somewhere else. And that's all. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, let's do that last. Let's do this one. Exploring China's ancient links to Africa.
Artifacts thought to be more than 1,000 years old. Some scholars argue this collection of pottery and coins is proof of China's ancient links to the African continent.
China and Africa have a history more than 1,000 years based on scholars' work. So that means people.
China and Africa have a history based on scholars' work. Now you can see all the African people there, or all the people that believe that they're African blood. They're all kind of sad-faced. All right, now let's watch again. I just want you to see that these Chinese people are African and these black people are not.
Artifacts thought to be more than 1,000 years old. Some scholars argue this collection of pottery and coins is proof of China's ancient links to the African continent.
China and Africa have a history more than 1,000 years based on the scholars' work. So that means the people between these two countries, they already communicate and trading for a long time. But now the recent years, because of China's economic reform, now become the second economic power of the world. So China, I think they want to share their experience with the African friends.
Some say Chinese goods were transported all the way up the Mediterranean Sea to Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania and Zambia over 1,000 years ago. Dr. Ian McIntosh says the symposium is a chance to uncover China's age-old ties to Africa and also encourage further studies.
Well, one of the major reasons for holding the meeting is to encourage research partnerships between Chinese scholars, European scholars and African scholars.
The Silk Route trade between China and the ancient Somali kingdom, shipwreck archaeology in the Red Sea, and Chinese historical records about Africa have been among the topics discussed. This symposium is part of the 10th anniversary of the Confucius Institute. It's hoped there'll be more to come.
So, now we've heard that. You see the title down here, just like you can see the last title down there. Now we're going to look at the third video, the final video. Let's see. Chinese DNA result indicates that Chinese are of African origin. Alright, so that's that same video, okay? So the guy does his DNA test and he finds out, oh boy, we're African and not Chinese. Now, when you understand what is being said by the DNA test, understand it's easy for them to look at you in the fucking face and tell you you're an African and we're Asian. Now, the blood doesn't lie. Now, we probably can't look at these tests and understand these tests 100%. But these people that are actually independent do these research studies, and it turns out everything that we've been shown in history becomes unraveled. Now, there's no relationship between you and the Chinese person. Not that you're Afro-Asian and that they're Asian. You've just seen encyclopedia clippets that show they are not original to that land. You've just seen DNA shows that they're original, their origin. They're original to Africa. These Afrocentric people put their head down and their lips out because of all the fables they've accepted. Now you heard them say black scholars, and black scholars is a joke. Black scholars are fed their data from white Freemasons. It doesn't matter if those Freemasons are scholars or not. It's all to push that you're from Africa, go into that land. Now, we've dealt with the Sinite. Now, Sinites, we already saw etymology, and even in the Wikipedia, the biblical Sinites, a Canaanite tribe. Some scholars refer to Chinese as Sinites. Now, you've seen some scholars refer to Chinese as Sinites. You've seen the Japanese refer to the Chinese as Sinites. You've seen the Romans refer to the Chinese as Sinites. You look at Shina, the word Shina, a largely archaic Japanese name for China. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't believe what is on screen, then there ain't no point in you watching other people's videos, because you're just looking for fascination, not for truth. Truth doesn't have cannons going off in the background and fireworks. Truth is very simple. You've got to make an elaborate lie to defeat the truth. And once there's holes in the lie, then you can see past the lie, because the lie is just a veil. It's a sheet. Shina, a largely archaic Japanese name for China. The word was used neutrally in both Chinese and Japanese. Well, why is that? Because they're brothers. And this has to do with the Shindo War, when they fought over Korea. That's simple. Fighting over more land. Run Brother says, I'm going to take the island, you take the mainland. They grow into a people. Now let's look at this Sina or Shina language. When we look at the language, it's from a Dardic subgroup. The Indo-Aryan languages. What? The pre-Aryan languages? Whoa! You mean all these groups? What groups? The groups I'm about to tell you. You mean all these groups come together and start throughout history, and then out of this primordial soup of all those races comes the Aryan race? Yeah. Let's learn. These are subgroups of the Indo-Aryan language families. Language and nationality is fucking hand in hand, buddy. Spoken by the Shina people. A polarity of the people in Gilgit-Baltistan, Pakistan, formerly known as the northern areas of Pakistan. The separate nature of the Dardic language is still clear. However, from their close relationship with other Indo-Aryan languages, especially the Punjabi. Whoa, the Punjabi are Indo-Aryan? That means that the Aryans came out of the Punjabi? Is Punjabi another name for Punani? Punjabi. Now, do you understand Indo-Aryan? They started with some color and they started banging these blue people, right? When you're dead, you turn pale, right? You turn kind of blue. They started banging the dead. Not the dead you put in the grave. You know what I'm talking about. This guy. They started banging these people, the blue people, the avatar people, right? And then they put out this thing called the Aryan. This is an Indo-Aryan race. Do you see they have dark hair? Where did blonde hair come from? Well, I'll show you real quick, just so you don't think I'm being a dick. All right, and the plague spread not through the skin, then the priest shall shut him in for 7 more days. The priest shall look upon him in the 7th day, and behold, if the plague somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in his skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. But if a scab forms, he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath seen the priest for his cleaning, and he shall see the priest again. Behold, if he sees the priest again, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. It is leprosy. Now, how do we know it's leprosy? Well, let's keep reading. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, and he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, be what? Oh, shit. Did he just say that? He just said that. So we're going to go over here. If the rising, oh, you can't see me. I'm doing like some hands. The rising, if the rising be white. Okay, so let's go. Vitiligo. I spell I look at all those I's. Like they couldn't even think of any other vowels for this. Right? Now that's the what? Is that the scab that he's talking about? Again, we don't see a scab, right? No, we don't. We do not see a scab. But it looks kind of scabby, doesn't it? But we don't see a scab. We can always hear, look at this. We'll play their game. Now you see the skin turn white and there's a fucking, and it looks like it's in the shape of a scab. And we'll put in leprosy. And we'll go to images. Let's go back. Did you see that? They show you that dude's got a bunch of bumps on his hand, right? The Bible didn't say anything about bumps. In fact, it said a scab. So look, this is bumps. This is bumps. Now that's scabby and that's white. So that could be leprosy. But these are, that's a penis. That's nasty. These are bumps out of control. That is turned into a scab, but that's an unhealable scab. So, you know, you need to think about this. Is this image of leprosy what they show you? Do you see how it is scabbed and the pigment is gone? Is leprosy a combination of this and this? Well, let's keep reading. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, he shall be brought to the priest. He shall see him. If the rising be white in the skin, and have turned the hair white, there will be a quick raw flesh in the rising. Let's see what it says over here. That's KJV. Now, here we over here, and it says the same thing. Change to a white hair. Now, so if the flesh would become an ulcer in the skin and should be healed, there should be in the place of an ulcer a white sore, or one looking white and bright or fiery, and it shall be seen by the priest. All right, so this image of leprosy does match when it becomes scabby. Not these bumps, the scabby, the raw, and fleshy. We're going for that horrible picture. I think we passed it already. Not quite there yet. Now, something around that, where there's a sore, it's rising, and there's white. And you can see there are hairs coming out of there. All right, that's hard to deal with. All right, let's get back to where we were. So we were on Shina. All right, now I want to show you something. Now, even though vitiligo doesn't seem like it's leprosy, I still want you to pay attention how the skin patch falls. Now we looked at the Pujami and we saw that they're pale and they have dark hair. Now look at this, the dialects of the Gilgiti, right? The prestige dialect are all these different families and they're all related. The Astorti, the Chilasi, the Kohistani, the Dra-Esi, all of these. Now look over here where it says Shina. Now, if you look at all these letters that they give you, we're talking about Shino Chinese, Shino language groups. Ladies and gentlemen, does this even look like Chinese writing to you? You're looking at a language with 1,000 J's. There's their curved sword. There's their curved sword. All these are however you pronounce it, the Schmitter. Indo-European, Indo-Aryan, Indo-Iranian, Indo-Aryan, dark, Shiva. Now, do you see how this, now flip this upside down. This is a fucking pyramid. Now turn this upside down. First comes first, and it's Shina. Next comes the Dar Dik. Next thing historically that comes is the Indo-Aryan. Then the Indo-Iranian makes his way, and then what we're familiar with is the Indo-European into the European. Right now, they're most likely calling themselves in their history books Indo-American. In fact, we should go to all extremes to understand what Indo means. In transition, something. Indo, word forming element of pertaining to India. Ladies and gentlemen, when you say Indo-Aryan, that says pertaining to India. That is the Aryan. Indo-European means pertaining to, I'll be damned! And in some other place, from Greek Indo, from Indos, India. We already know what that means, Indios, God's children. Now, again, if the Canaanites had the temple of God first, and they were kicked out, then they were chosen first. They failed, and then they were replaced. And you know how God is. He says, I don't change my mind on stuff. I told you we were in the game of vengeance. We kicked their ass. They've been kicking our ass ever since, secretly. Once we're able to form into one, that is the moment we stop getting our asses kicked. I need you to think about this. Now, here's the first Sino-Japanese War. Again, they are fighting over Korea. All right. Going to Korean shit, it's useless. Korea goes back to the 69 BCE. There is no Korea or Korean people before 69 BCE. So, when you chase the kings of Korea, that's where it ends. It ends at the Rome. It ends at Rome. This is one of their kings. You can see how they had darker skin. Again, we're dealing with the Sinite, the Chinese. That is the darker skin of the Chinese. You see today they are pale. Ask yourself why. We just read it. The worst outcome of leprosy deals with sores. That's the worst. Hanji was another people group or a king. Leads us back to Sennacherib Temple. they claim that it goes back to Hanji goes as a son of God, right? Especially for the Chinese character borrowed from Chinese, incorporate Korean language. They claim it's for the. I thought Hanji was. Is it this guy? Okay, this guy, legendary founder, the first ever Korean kingdom, present day, well-man Manchuria. That's where we get the Manchurian word. Son of a bear. Now, when you start finding out about this guy, you chase down his parents. Now, his parents are kind of funny. Dan Gunn's ancestry legend begins with his grandfather, Huang, Lord of Heaven. Huang had a son, Huang. Huang wanted to go run in the valleys and mountains, so he was permitted, and he took 3,000 followers to descend. That's called fallen, right? And, right? They're trying to make the story sound pretty. So this son of God fell. He descended to Baek, right? Baekdu Mountain, where Huang founded the Sinsi, right? The mountain of sin, temple of sin, people of sin. The city of God. The Sinsi is considered the city of God, right? You're looking for Mount Sinai, and they telling you right here it's in fucking China, right? Along with his ministers of clouds, rain, wind, he instituted moral codes and taught humans various arts, medicines, agriculture. When you find out the information on the fallen angels taught man to war, taught them what to do with medicine, what to do with roots. Fallen angels taught you all this shit. Right here, you got a son of God descending, teaching man, blah, blah, blah. Same story as the fucking fallen angels. They're just trying to make it all pretty and poetic. He didn't fall. He asked permission to come down and fuck everybody over. Lying motherfuckers. Now, what does he do? A tiger and a bear prayed to Huang. Okay? Now, didn't we just have a fucking story about a tiger chasing a fucking goat that was big as fuck? That was gigantic compared to the size of a normal tiger and a normal goat? Even though they only gave the translation of goat. I really can't see a gigantic goat running from a normal tiger. Especially if the goat is rumored to be, Shiva, who it's clearly Azazel. A tiger and a bear prayed to Huang. Okay, the god that descended, he didn't say, pray to my dad. He didn't say, animals, pray to my dad. He didn't say anything like that. He let those animals pray to him. So the god that descended, a tiger and a bear prayed to him that they might become human. Upon hearing their prayers, oh, the tiger and the bear is in there praying to me. What are you guys saying? He says, he heard their prayers and he gave them 20 cloves of garlic and a bundle of mugwort. Ooh, ordered them to eat only the sacred food and remain out of the sunlight for 100 days. What happens to a flesh if it's not in sunlight for 100 days? That's lack of vitamin D, right? That's free vitamin D out there, right? Whatever. The tiger gave up after about 20 days and left the cave, right? After 20 days. He said, stay for 100 days. 100 days. This dude left 80 days short. He said, fuck that. I ain't dealing with that shit. Tiger's out of there. However, the bear preserved and was transformed into a woman. Wait, what? The tiger gave up and left about 20 days and left the cave. The bear preserved and was transformed into a woman. Hey, I bet this Fruit Loop bones the bear. Anybody want to bet? Anybody want to bet? Going once. Going twice. Transforms the bear into a woman. The bear and the tiger are said to represent two tribes that sought the favor of the heavenly prince. Now check this out. The bear, that would be Russia, wouldn't it? Don't they call Russia the bear? Who's the tiger? Who's the tiger? The Life of Pi, right? They got those, when you look at the Life of Pi, they got the Bangladeshi dude sitting there on the boat with the tiger, right? The tiger and the bear, right? And the Russian people, right? These two people groups. Both groups stay out of sunlight for 100 days, and I'll grant your prayers. The tiger group's 20 days. They said, fuck you. You ain't even worth it. The bear group, they got transformed into its bitch. And the bear and the tiger are representative fucking tribes, right? 2 tribes that saw the heavenly prince. The bear / woman, and it gives you a name, Ungneo, whatever it is. What does it say? Was grateful and made offerings to Hoang. However, she lacked a husband and soon became sad and prayed beneath the divine birch tree. All right, now that's why the birch tree is to be blessed with a child. Hoang, he was what? He was moved by her prayers. That means he had movement in his pants. Her crying and wailing and begging him to make me a human, right? Because bears can fucking talk, right? He's like, oh, okay, I'll make you a human. And then she makes sacrifices to him in her new human form, and he's just like, you doing that makes me aroused. So what does he do? He takes his little bear bride, took her for a wife, and soon she gave birth to a son named Dangu. And that's this cat that we looking at right here. Little bear boy and his little bear tribe. Now, this is the bear tribe, not the Russians, these Chinese people. That's what the story is all about. All their mythical stories go back to fallen angels. And we've just been ignorant here in America that we've never taken the time to look at what they're saying. The things that they say match the Bible. Unfortunately, they just don't match the good things that are said in the Bible. They actually match the wicked things that are said in the Bible. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the end of this and say goodnight. The Hanji is irrelevant. The temple is irrelevant. Now, this is the bear woman, right? Sino-Korean for bear, right? And this is the bear that became a woman. She's featured prominently in the creation myth of the Korean nation. So, this isn't how the Chinese are created. This is how, the Korean people are created, right? A fallen angel fucked a bear, right? The fallen angel slept with their tribe. They prayed to it, and he said, you want me to bless you? Give me your bitches. And he slept with those women, and they produced offspring. And those offspring were most likely exalted within those tribes. The tribe of people that we call the Korean nation. In the tale, the tiger and the bear lived together in the cave and prayed to this asshole to make them human. Wang heard their prayers, gave them 20 cloves of garlic and a bottle of mugwort, and ordered them to stay out of sunlight and only eat this for 21 days. Now, you heard it was 100 days before. Basically, when the tiger gave up at 20 days, Huang said, I've read this story on something else. When the tiger gave up after 20 days, Huang said, you ain't got to wait 100 days. It was a contest. Due to hunger, the tiger left the cave roughly 20 days, but the bear remained inside. After 21 days, she was transformed into a woman. So one day after the tiger family left, because it's not a real tiger, it's a fucking people group. It's a tribe of people. One day after that tribe left, the other tribe was granted their wish. They became the woman, right? Look, it's a tribe of people. They acted like animals. They acted like bears. He taught them this. He taught them that. He taught them to act like this. Act like that. Don't wipe your ass with your hand. Use the leaf. Don't do this. Do this. This is what he did, and this fucking thing lived amongst them. And they bred children for him. The bear was grateful and made offerings to him. Her lack of a husband drove her to depression. She began to pray beneath a sacred tree to be blessed with a child. This thing heard her prayers, moved deeply. He took her as a wife, and soon she gave birth to a son who would go to found the nation of Korea. Now you got North and South Korea, right? Now you got Kim Jong-il. You know what this motherfucker did just the other day? He got mad. He took his agricultural minister. He took two of them. Whatever they did, the corn didn't grow, the beets are lumpy, whatever. He took them and he put them in front of anti-aircraft fire. The kind of aircraft, the anti-aircraft gun you shoot down jets with, you shoot down planes with. He put two humans in front of that machine and he blew their asses away in front of all his people. It was called a public execution. Koreans, mixed with fallen angel seed, right there in history, and nobody gives a shit.